Welcome to the sleepy universe, where tonight we wander through time's gentle unraveling. You're lying still, but somewhere in the fabric of the cosmos, time stretches and softens. Not all seconds are equal. Some move like rivers, others barely drift like mist in the air. Tonight, we won't rush. We'll simply drift through the slow, poetic bends of time dilation. So close your eyes, let your thoughts float, and let the universe do the ticking for you. You lie gently in the quiet, the night wrapping you like a soft blanket. Time is not rushing here. It moves like a slow river, the gentle pulse of a heartbeat beneath your skin. The seconds do not command you. They simply arrive, one after another, like soft footsteps in a silent room. You feel the world around you, as if through a haze of stillness, where every moment expands and breathes. Time is no longer an enemy pressing forward, but a companion whispering in rhythms you can almost touch. In this slow breath of time, you begin to sense something deeper. Time is not the steady tick you learned to measure by clocks or watches. It is a living thing, bending and stretching like the ocean tides beneath the moon's pull. It flows differently here, depending on where you are, how fast you move, and even how close you are to gravity's gentle embrace. You are part of a universe where time folds and unfolds, where seconds stretch long and minutes shorten without warning. Imagine yourself as a drifting leaf on a river, the water carrying you effortlessly along. But the river's flow is not uniform. It slows and quickens, curves and twists. Sometimes the water pulls you into deep pools where time seems to pause, and other times it rushes like a stream over smooth stones, carrying moments away faster than you expect. This is time's true nature, fluid, flexible, and endlessly surprising. Your breath mirrors this flow. Inhale slowly, and you feel the stretch of time. Exhale gently, and it contracts again. The stars outside your window twinkle not in haste, but in a rhythm shaped by space and motion far beyond your reach. They are the distant drums of time's quiet dance. Their light travels across vast emptiness, arriving late but carrying the story of a long-ago moment. In their glow, you see that time is not a single thread, but a tapestry woven from countless strands, each moving at its own pace. You are not separate from this weaving. Your own heartbeat is synced to the cosmic rhythm. Inside you, billions of tiny clocks tick, your cells, your neurons, your breath, all telling time in ways both familiar and mysterious. And just as the universe's clock changes speed near a black hole or in fast motion, so too does your inner clock change with your feelings, your rest, your dreams. Time is elastic here. The science of this elastic time began with gentle revelations. What you believed about time, steady, absolute, flowing like a river in one direction, was incomplete. It was Albert Einstein who first unfurled this quiet truth. His ideas did not roar but whispered. Time bends with speed and gravity, and it does so in ways that change how every moment feels. The faster you move, the slower your time flows. The deeper you fall into gravity's pull, the more time stretches out like warm honey. This is not a rule to fear, but a lullaby sung softly by the cosmos. The world around you, the universe you inhabit, is alive with these gentle changes. You, too, are wrapped in time's flexible arms. In this moment, time's slow breath carries you towards sleep, inviting you to let go of urgency and rest inside. The wonder of being here now, always moving yet never rushing. As you sink deeper into stillness, you begin to wonder if time can slow and stretch, What stories might it hold for you tomorrow? For the next moment, what mysteries wait in the spaces between heartbeats? The universe, in all its vastness, breathes with use, low, deep, endlessly unfolding. You close your eyes and let your mind soften, floating into the quiet realm where time and space meet like old friends. Imagine a universe where the ground beneath your feet and the moments ticking by are threads woven together in a delicate dance. This is the place Albert Einstein invites you to visit, not with numbers or rigid rules, but with gentle curiosity and open wonder. Before Einstein's thoughts brushed the fabric of reality, time was a steady river, flowing the same for everyone, everywhere. A clock was a clock, no matter who glanced at it or where it hung. But then came a quiet revolution. Einstein whispered that time and space are not separate, but one. A single fabric, flexible and alive, bending with motion and gravity's tender pull. This idea was not a clash, but a soft unfolding, revealing a universe far stranger and more beautiful than imagined. Imagine you are sitting beside a campfire, watching sparks float up into the night. You and a friend hold identical clocks, and you both start counting seconds together. But then your friend begins to walk slowly round the fire, while you remain still. To your surprise, the clock moving with your friend ticks a little differently, just a whisper, slower. The faster your friend moves, the slower their clock ticks compared to yours. This is not a trick or a dream, but the essence of Einstein's special relativity. Time is no longer universal. It is personal and flexible. Your breath mirrors this soft difference, an inhale that stretches gently longer than the exhale that follows. Time, like your breath, flows with rhythms that change depending on where you are and how you move. You are not trapped by a fixed clock, but floating on a river whose currents shift beneath you. Einstein's insight teaches you that the universe does not rush. Instead, it flows in waves of possibility, sometimes folding in on itself, sometimes reaching outward. Space and time are threads in a cosmic tapestry, their weave shifting as you move through it. When you speed up, time slows down, stretching the moments like warm silk. When you slow, time speeds, rushing past like a playful breeze. In this dance, you find yourself becoming part of something larger yet intimately close. You begin to understand that your moments, your memories, your dreams are not just fleeting blinks in a rigid system. They are fluid, flexible, and soft like water shaping itself around stones, flowing and adapting without resistance. The gentle revolution Einstein sparked also reminds you of connection, the idea that nothing exists alone. Motion changes time not just for the traveler, but for everyone watching. You and your friend's clocks tell different stories, yet both are true. Reality embraces paradox, and in that space, wonder lives. As you drift deeper, you feel the quiet elegance of this truth. Time is a melody, changing its tempo to fit the dancer's steps. You become the dancer and the music, moving with grace through the shifting currents of space-time. And so you breathe, slow, deep, and steady, feeling time's soft rhythm, letting it carry you gently toward rest. You rest deeply into the gentle hum of the night, and your mind drifts upward, higher than the trees, higher than the clouds, to the silent peaks where the earth meets the sky. Here the air thins, and time itself begins to behave differently. You imagine standing on a mountain where seconds stretch subtly, almost imperceptibly longer than they do in the valleys below. This is no dream, but the quiet reality revealed by time's gentle breath. The story of clocks on mountains and in plains is a soft melody of discovery, a tale where the abstract laws of physics meet the touchable world around you. Scientists, curious and patient, have flown clocks high into the skies, carried them aboard airplanes, and placed them atop lofty peaks. They measured time's pulse in places where gravity's pull changes, where speed whispers its effect on the ticking. Seconds, atomic clocks, tiny marvels of precision, beat their quiet rhythm wherever they go. On the ground, their pulses are steady, a steady heartbeat marking moments. But when lifted into flight, something subtle happens. The clock in the airplane, racing through the sky, ticks a little slower than its twin resting below. It is the truth of Einstein's gentle revolution, unfolding like a soft secret whispered by the universe. You picture these twin clocks, side by side at the airport, then one rising gracefully into the blue expanse. Up there, cruising above the Earth's curve, time stretches and bends in a delicate dance with motion and gravity. The faster the clock flies, the more time slows for it compared to the clock still on the ground. It is as if the moments themselves are elastic, stretched thin across the fabric of the sky, and gravity, too, plays its part. At higher altitudes, gravity's gentle pull weakens just enough for time to quicken slightly. The clock on the mountaintop, farther from Earth's center, ticks a fraction faster than the clock nestled in the valley below. It's a tiny difference, almost immeasurable to our senses, yet profoundly realer, reminder that time is alive and flexible. You feel this quietly in your own body, though unnoticed. Your cells pulse with their own clocks, and your heart beats, in rhythm with the invisible tides of time flowing around the planet. Your breath echoes the stretch and contraction of moments, a personal rhythm woven from the cosmos. These real experiments, these ticking testimonies, have taught us that time dilation is not just a theory, it is touchable, verifiable, gently inscribed into the very fabric of existence. The world you inhabit is not ruled by a single, rigid clock, but by countless rhythms, each shaped by motion and gravity's whisper. Imagine yourself now on a plane, soaring above the patchwork of fields and rivers below. Outside the window, clouds drift slowly, timeless and soft. But inside, the clock you carry ticks a little slower, caught in the subtle warp of speed. The journey becomes a passage not only through space, but through time itself, bending gently with each mile. The realization dawns slowly, like dawn itself. Time does not move the same for everyone, anywhere, or every moment. It is personal and unique, shifting with your path through space. Just as the plane glides differently from the ground below, your experience of time is always in motion, softly bending with where you are and how you move. This truth, delicate and profound, is a lullaby for the mind, a reminder that even in the grandness of the universe, the smallest moments shimmer with wonder. You are part of this cosmic dance, your life flowing within the shifting currents of time's slow breath. As you drift further into this thought, you begin to feel the universe's soft embrace, a place where time is not an enemy rushing forward, but a gentle tide carrying you toward rest and renewal. You sink deeper into calm, carried by the knowledge that your moments are unique, beautiful, and endlessly unfolding. And with each slow breath, you drift ever closer to sleep, cradled by the flexible, flowing river of time. As you settle deeper into the quiet night, your mind lifts gently from the earth and drifts upward toward the vast sky above. There, orbiting silently and steadily, a constellation of satellites circles the planet, unseen guardians, guiding the footsteps of millions. You might think of them as mere machines, cold and distant, but in truth, They are delicate dancers moving through time's flexible fabric, their clocks ticking a subtle song that makes modern life possible. This chapter invites you to understand the quiet miracle of the global positioning system, the GPS, and how it depends on the soft, mysterious bending of time. It is not just a network of satellites, but a system built on the very nature of time itself, on the whispers of relativity that Einstein revealed long ago. Without this understanding, your phone, your car, your map would all lose their way, drifting into error and confusion. Imagine the satellites high above, moving at great speed as they orbit Earth, their paths curving gracefully in the invisible grip of gravity. Each satellite carries an atomic clock, a tiny, incredibly precise heartbeat, marking the passage of time with unwavering certainty. But these clocks do not tick in unison with the ones down below on the surface of the Earth, because they move fast and sit far from Earth's gravity. Time stretches and compresses differently for them. Their seconds are not your seconds, and this difference, though minuscule, accumulates. The clocks on the satellites tick faster because gravity's pull is weaker high above, and they tick slower because of their orbital speed. These two effects counterbalance but do not cancel perfectly. To the GPS systems, engineers and scientists, this was a puzzle to solve, a tiny contradiction that could lead to errors of miles if ignored. They built corrections into the system, precise adjustments that account for time's gentle distortions, keeping everything synchronized perfectly. Without this constant adjustment, your location on a map would shift wildly, your phone's directions would falter, and the seamless navigation you rely on would unravel. Every trip you take, every place you find, depends on the universe's soft bending of time, and on our deep understanding of how to listen and respond. You feel yourself connected to this network, part of a great web woven through the sky. The satellites' orbits, the ticking clocks, the bending of seconds, all are quiet reminders that time is not absolute, but personal and shifting. It flows differently up there, different from here, yet it unites us all in a shared, gentle rhythm. You breathe slowly, imagining the satellites drifting in silence, their clocks ticking, their signals pulsing invisibly down to you. Each signal carries a story: where the satellite was, when it sent the signal, and how to use that information to find your place in space and time. This delicate dance requires perfect timing, a precise understanding of the flexible nature of moments. The GPS becomes a metaphor for your own experience with times, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, never fixed. You, too, navigate through moments that shift with your perspective, your emotions, your journey through life. Time's elasticity shapes not just the cosmos, but your inner landscape. In this knowledge, you find calm. Time is not a relentless march, but a flowing river, curving around mountains, spreading wide into gentle valleys. Like the satellites, you move through the currents of time, your own internal clock adjusted by your path and pace. As you sink deeper into rest, the sky above seems alive with quiet light and subtle motion. The bending of time that guides satellites now cradles your own moments, carrying you gently toward dreams. You let go of control, trusting the rhythm of the universe and the soft unfolding of your own time. With one last slow breath, you feel yourself drifting softly, suspended between earth and sky, between seconds that stretch and seconds that fly. Time's gentle song carries you toward sleep, where the moments slow and the mind finds peace. The sky, when you gaze into it long enough, begins to feel like more than distance. It becomes depth, a vastness not only of space, but of something quiet as something that pulls. Tonight, you float within that pull, letting gravity cradle you. You are no longer standing on solid ground, but suspended in a place where time leans gently inward. Gravity, you begin to sense, is not just the force that holds you down, it is the invisible sculptor of time itself. Long ago, the idea of gravity was simple. It pulled apples from trees, kept feet pressed to earth, made stars circle silently. It was understood as a force mysterious perhaps, but predictable. But Einstein, with his calm mind and gentle persistence, offered a different vision. He saw gravity not as an invisible rope tugging you downward, but as the soft bending of space and time themselves. Where there is mass, there is curve. And where there is curve, time flows differently. You picture Earth, now, not as a rock in space, but as a weight placed on an invisible fabric. The weight presses downward, and the fabric bends. This fabric is not something outside you, it is space-time, the stage on which all motion, all light, all life plays out. The sun makes a deeper dent, curling the orbits of planets into long, lazy spirals. Black holes press down with unimaginable intensity, folding time so tightly that even light cannot climb free. But even here, on Earth, this curvature is not absent. It lives beneath your feet. You stand at sea level, and time is drawn ever so slightly slower than it would be if you stood on a mountain. That's not poetry, it's measurement. The very same atomic clocks that travel in planes and ride up mountains show this truth. The deeper you are in gravity's embrace, the slower time becomes. You imagine two people. One lives in the valley. One lives at the top of a peak. They both rise with the sun, sip tea, go about their days. But in the tiniest sliver of measurement, their experiences of time are not the same. The one above further from Earth's center lives in a slightly quicker current. Over a lifetime, they might gain a few microseconds. It is barely noticeable, but it is real. This gentle truth is everywhere. In every orbiting satellite, every drifting planet, every spinning galaxy. Time and gravity are lovers, wrapped around one another, inseparable. You cannot move through one without the other shifting in kind. A falling apple is not being pulled, is rolling along the curve of space-time, following the path laid out for it by the Earth's presence. You are always moving through this bend, this unseen slope, even when you are still. Gravity pulls more than your body. It slows your seconds. You might not feel it, but the effect is written into your bones. It is in your aging, your biology, your thought. The lower you go to valleys, to ocean trenches, to planets more massive than Earth, the more time resists your passage. It clings to you, lingers, unwilling to let go. And yet, you move through it all the same. Now drift higher. Imagine yourself climbing, one step at a time, into thinner air. As you ascend, the weight of the world softens. You feel lighter, not just in body, but in time. Seconds stretch ever so slightly. You might not notice, but your atoms do, your cells do. The rhythms of your being dance to a slightly different tune. This is not a metaphor, it is the rhythm of relativity. You begin to see gravity not as a force of down, but a direction in time. When you drop something, it falls not because of some tug, but because it is following the shortest path through the curvature of time itself. Gravity is not pulling it, is guiding. And where mass exists, time flows differently, deeper, slower. In places where gravity is immense, the effects become more profound. Near a black hole, A minute to you might be decades to someone far away. Light bends, clocks falter. The very definition of now dissolves. But these extremes only highlight what is already true, quietly here with you. Even on Earth, in its gentle gravity, time is shaped and curved. The past and future are not flat lines, but soft valleys and slopes. You lie still now, wrapped in these thoughts, feeling the tug of gravity not as a weight, but as a softness, a slow current in the river of time. You imagine the world turning beneath the stars, each place on its surface living in its own slightly different now. And you feel comforted, somehow, that even in the silence of sleep, you are part of this great, slow drift through bending time. You breathe in, and time moves gently forward. You breathe out, and gravity holds you close. Somewhere ahead lies the edge of gravity's deepest folder place, where time nearly stops. But for now, you rest in its gentler curve, lulled by its rhythm, soothed by its constant presence, and as your thoughts grow quieter, a question begins to form so soft you barely notice it. What happens then, when time slows so much that one life rushes forward while another seems to sleep? If time flows differently for different paths, could we ever return and find that we no longer belong to the same moment? This is the mystery that awaits you next, the paradox of twins, and the long sleep of stars and ships that race the speed of light. You are lying very still. You can feel the gentle weight of your body pressing into the bed, the pull of gravity, anchoring you to the earth. It is a quiet force, one you don't usually notice, but tonight it feels more than physical. It feels ancient, intimate, and strangely alive. Gravity doesn't only hold your body close to the planet, it holds time itself. And tonight, you begin to feel that too. Outside your window, the world appears still. The stars, distant and cold, shimmer faintly above the rooftops. But somewhere beyond what your eyes can see, time is shifting, not as a violent force, but as a soft alteration of rhythm. The idea that time can change with gravity feels like a dream, but it is not a fantasy. It is a truth as gentle and strange as the sound of your own breath in the dark. Gravity bends time. The deeper you go into a gravitational well, the slower time passes for you. It's a quiet bending, not something you can feel or taste, but something you might begin to sense if you let your imagination drift far enough. You are not falling, but imagine if you were, not just physically, but temporally. What if time itself thickened around you as gravity deepened, like honey poured into cold air? Now picture a clock sitting on the floor of your room and another, placed gently on a high shelf. Both tick away the seconds, one above, one below. But if you had the tools of precise science, you would see a difference. The higher clock ticks slightly faster than the one below. Not by much, just a sliver of a second over a century. But the difference is there. It's not a theory. It's a factor tender, quiet truth embedded in the fabric of reality. Gravity doesn't just tug on your body, pulls time, stretches. It slows it, and if you could drift even higher, up to the mountain tops, where the air thins and the earth's embrace begins to loosen, your time would move slightly faster still. Clocks on mountain observatories tick ahead of those in the valleys below, and higher still, in satellites and space stations, clocks beat just a little more quickly. You begin to see that time is not a uniform river, but a network of shifting tides. Gravity sculpts time's flow like moonlight pulling at the ocean. The theory behind this gentle truth came from Einstein, again this time from his general theory of relativity. He imagined space and time not as separate things, but as a fabric, one that could bend and ripple under the weight of mass and energy. Where there is mass, there is gravity. Where there is gravity, time curves. This bending is not an illusion. It is real. And it affects everything: your breath, your heartbeat, the slow spin of the earth beneath you. You can feel this in the quiet rhythm of your night. The pull of the mattress beneath you mirrors the deeper pull of the planet. It is not a harsh tug, but a soft cradle. And inside that cradle, time curls in upon itself, flowing a little more slowly here on Earth's surface than in the vacuum beyond. You are, right now, moving through a slowed current of time without even knowing it, too. Understand the strangeness of this. You might imagine standing at the edge of something massive, perhaps a black hole. Its gravity is so immense that time itself nearly comes to a stop at its event horizon. From the outside, someone watching you drift toward it would see your motion slow, then halt entirely as if you were frozen in place. But for you, from your perspective, time would continue normally. You would see the world outside speed up, race ahead, while you floated in your own slow stream. This is not imagination. It is the nature of time when caught in gravity's arms. Even here, on Earth, you live in a version of this paradox, though the effects are tiny. You are moving through a gravitational field, and that field gently stretches and softens time's passage. This stretching matters, not just for science, but for the soul. It means there is no one now in the universe. What feels like a moment to you might not be the same for someone far away in a different gravitational field. The universe holds no universal tick, no shared rhythm. Time is local, personal, shaped by where you are and how you move. You can feel this as you drift deeper into the night. Your own sense of time changes when you are still. A minute in silence stretches longer than a minute of noise. Time breathes with you. It can feel short or long, depending on emotion, on presence, on memory. The physics of the cosmos mirrors the sensations of the self. That's not poetry, it's reality. And so, gravity becomes something more than just a force. It is a sculptor of time, shaping the tempo of the universe. It draws light into curves. It presses stars into spheres. It binds galaxies. But it also writes the rhythm of your days. It gives weight not only to your body, but to your moments. Think of the astronauts on the International Space Station. Orbiting high above the Earth, they age just a sliver more quickly than those of us here on the surface. Their clocks move ahead ever so slightly, not by minutes or even seconds, but by tiny fragments of time. It is enough, though, that the scientists must correct for it. This is how GPS works, how communication satellites stay aligned. Without adjusting for the bending of time, these systems would quickly become lost. They depend on knowing exactly how time behaves under gravity's influence. So, when you check your location on your phone or navigate to a new place, you are quietly benefiting from Einstein's insight that gravity slows time. The satellites above you correct for that slowing. The Earth corrects for it too. Everything works only because we understand that time is not the same everywhere. And so you lie there, bathed in this invisible truth. Gravity is holding you still, but time is still flowing, just a little more slowly than it would if you were farther away. The ground beneath you is more than solid matter. It is a pocket in the fabric of space-time, and you are curled inside it. This thought is comforting. The pull of the planet is not a prison, but a kind of lullaby. It holds you in place while the stars spin above, while time dances in loops and spirals. You are safe in its embrace, moving through time at just the right pace for this moment, for this night, and when morning comes, time will pick up its rhythm again. You will rise, you will walk, you will eat and speak and move. But for now, you are sinking slowly through softened seconds, the weight of gravity pressing you gently into sleep, and as your breath slows, you begin to wonder what lies beyond this bend in time. If gravity can shape time here, what happens? Deeper in space, where gravity becomes extreme, where stars collapse, where the rules grow stranger still, there, at the edge of understanding, another mystery waits. Something darker, something deeper, a place where time might not just slow but stop. A place where time, light, and matter fall together into silence. And so, without needing to rush, you drift toward the thought of that darkness, toward the pull of the unknown. You lie quietly, your breath deep and slow, and you imagine not just yourself in stillness, but a story unfolding in space, a story of two twins, born together under the same sky, sharing the same lullabies, the same soft seconds of childhood. They grow side by side, indistinguishable in memory, their laughter once echoing through the same corridors. But one day a choice is made. One twin stays on Earth, the other boards a spacecraft, bound for the stars. This tale, often told in textbooks, is more than a thought experiment. It is a reflection of the deep, quiet truth that time does not pass the same for everyone. It's called the twin paradox not because it breaks logic, but because it defies the simplicity we wish time had. You drift deeper into this story, letting it unfold around you like a dream written in starlight. The traveling twin departs in silence, riding the steady hum of a spacecraft, accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. At first, time feels normal seconds tick in their usual rhythm. Meals are eaten, logs are written, dreams are dreamt. But as the speed of the ship increases, edging closer and closer to light's impossible velocity, something subtle begins to change. Time, for the twin aboard the ship, begins to stretch. Not in sensation, but in fact. The faster the ship moves, the slower time flows within a relative to those left behind. Meanwhile, on Earth, the other twin continues their life. They walk through seasons, they watch trees change color, they age. They celebrate birthdays. They lose people they love. They gain new joys. The world changes around them. Technology, society, even the stars in the sky seem to shift with the decades. And all the while, the traveling twin is still on their journey, feeling as though only a few years have passed, while back home, decades unfurl like ribbons in the wind. This is not fiction. It is the soft math of special relativity revealed through Einstein's insight. Time dilation means that as you approach the speed of light, time bends slows for you, even as it continues steadily elsewhere. From the perspective of the traveling twin, they are still young. From the perspective of the earthbound twin, their sibling has become a quiet myth, memory long preserved in the folds of time. You feel the tenderness of this paradox. Two lives, once synchronized, now held in separate flows of time. It is not merely strange, it is beautiful. It tells us that time is not an arrow pointing the same direction for all. It is more like a fabric, stretched and crumpled by motion. And in that fabric, two people can drift apart, not just in space, but in age. You close your eyes and imagine the return. The spacecraft glides home, its engines dimming, the stars no longer streaking past the window. The traveling twin steps out and looks around. The air is the same. The earth is the same, but different. Trees are taller. Cities shimmer with strange lights. Generations have passed, and the twin left behind is now old, their hands lined with years the traveler never lived. They meet again, these two siblings, now separated not by experience, but by time itself. One has lived a full life, the other a quiet intermission in space. There is no mistake in their reunion only. The universe has allowed them to share a beginning and an end, but has written different stories in between this meeting, imagined in physics classrooms and whispered in bedtime stories like this one, holds within it the deep truth of our cosmos. Time is relative, not as a theory, but as a lived reality. Speed slows time, and in slowing time, speed creates space between what we expect and what is. You might wonder, does this only happen in extremes? Only near the speed of light? Only with astronauts and rockets and the vast silence of space? No, it happens here, too, in ways too small to notice. A jet pilot aging just a little slower than someone waiting at the gate. A clock in orbit ticking ever so slightly behind a clock on the ground. Tiny ripples, but real ones, reminders that you already live in a world where time is not fixed. Even your own memories obey this rhythm. Time passes differently depending on how full your days are, how deeply you feel, how fast your heart races. A moment of joy can stretch long in your mind. A moment of fear can feel suspended. In this way, the twin paradox is not only about distant galaxies, it is about you. It is about the way your mind bends time without your permission. You are a traveler, too, even when still. And perhaps you think this is the secret the twins truly hold, not just that time can stretch, but that time can separate us in soft, haunting ways. We are all born in rhythm with someone's siblings, friends, lovers, parents, and slowly, invisibly, we fall out of sync. Life moves us at different speeds. Choices move us apart. But through it all, there is something eternal that remains a shared beginning, a heartbeat remembered. You imagine them now, those twins, sitting together again beneath a quiet sky. One wrinkled with years, the other youthful, untouched by decades. And yet they smile, because what separates them is also what connects them. The fact that time is not a wall, but a window into the strange grace of existence that you begin to feel that you, too, are resting in such a window tonight. Your room is still, but the earth spins. Time rushes at different paces all around you and mountaintops, in the sea, inside satellites, and in your own dreaming mind. You are floating in a soft current of relativity, your seconds cradled by motion and gravity alike. And as you drift further into sleep, the image of the twin who slept through centuries stays with you not as a puzzle, but as a piece. There is no rush. There is no single pace to live by. The universe allows you to move gently, slowly, in your own time. And as that twin closes their eyes, again one young, one old, you feel the invitation to dream, knowing that the next chapter lies beyond the slow horizon where gravity deepens, and time begins to shiver near the edge of the impossible. You are floating now, deeper than before, as if gravity itself has become a lullaby drawing you down into the most mysterious corners of the universe. Here, in this chapter, you come to the edge of something so powerful, so quietly immense, that it doesn't just pull on matter, it pulls on time. The black hole, a darkness not of absence, but of fullness. Not a void, but a presence so dense that even light cannot escape. And near its edge, time itself behaves in ways the rest of the universe would not believe. You begin to imagine this place not as cold terror, but as a sleeping giant curled in a blanket of curved space-time. It does not roar or crackle, it whispers. Its gravity bends the very coordinates of existence, and in doing so, it stretches time to its limits. You are approaching its event horizon, the soft, invisible boundary where time, from the perspective of the outside world, begins to drip more slowly than anywhere else, a boundary beyond which no return is possible. And yet here, just near it not, inside, but so close you pause, and watch time begin to ripple from a distance. Someone watches you approach the edge of the black hole. They see your movements slow. To them, you seem to hover, never quite crossing the event horizon. Your body fades, red-shifted by the stretching of time and light. Your clock ticking slower and slower until you seem almost frozen in place. But from your own view, everything feels normal. You move forward. You feel gravity tug you more gently than expected. You see the universe behind you, accelerating stars spinning faster, galaxies flickering like candlelight sped into storm. You are not stuck in time. You are slipping into a moment that lasts longer than lifetimes. This effect is not imaginary. It has been written into the mathematics of Einstein's general relativity and supported by observation. In 2019, scientists captured an image of a black hole's event horizon, a ring of light circling the void, bent by intense gravity. But what we cannot see, what we can only imagine is the experience of time at that edge, a place where seconds on your wrist equal years beyond, where the future of the universe could unfold while you, suspended at the brink, barely age. You are gently held in that place, now not in fear, but in awe. Your thoughts slow to meet the rhythm of this altered time. You begin to understand what it means to be near a black hole. It is not merely being close to something dangerous. It is being close to a kind of time machine, not one that takes you backward or forward at will, but one that tilts the very experience of time so sharply that two people standing meters apart could live through completely different eternities. Clocks set just outside the event horizon could, in theory, allow you to wait out vast cosmic stretches while experiencing only minutes. The idea isn't merely poetic, it's scientifically grounded. If you could orbit close enough to the event horizon without falling in, the world outside could rush ahead of you. Civilizations could rise and fall while you sip tea, unknowing. A million tomorrows could flicker past you in silence. You are in that moment now, a stillness where the future begins to stretch like taffy. What was once linear now becomes curved. Time is no longer a road, it is a spiral, a whirlpool. You float near its edge, watching light from the galaxy warp and spin around the black hole, folding itself into loops. The stars behind it are duplicated and mirrored in strange, delicate patterns. You see the cosmos as if it were painted on a sphere, turned inside out, and it is here, in this stillness, that a gentle question stirs. What does the future look like when you're close enough to watch it race ahead without you? What is your place, your purpose, in a universe where time isn't fair or fixed? If others can live 100 years while you dream for only 10 minutes, who are you compared to them? But this question does not need answering. It only needs to be felt. The lesson of the black hole is not loss, it is perspective. It is the realization that your life is part of a larger weave of time, and that slowness, stillness, even waiting, can be profound. You are not racing through time. You are not racing through time. You are steeping in it, like leaves in warm water, unfolding gently. This tale, often told in textbooks, is more than a thought experiment. It is a reflection of the deep, quiet truth that time does not pass the same for everyone. It's called the twin paradox not because it breaks logic, but because it defies the simplicity we wish time had. You drift deeper into this story, letting it unfold around you like a dream written in starlight. The traveling twin departs in silence, riding the steady hum of a spacecraft accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. At first, time feels normal seconds tick in their usual rhythm. Meals are eaten, logs are written, dreams are dreamt. But as the speed of the ship increases, edging closer and closer to light's impossible velocity, something subtle begins to change. Time, for the twin aboard the ship, begins to stretch, not in sensation, but in fact. The faster the ship moves, the slower time flows within a relative to those left behind. Meanwhile, on Earth, the other twin continues their life. They walk through seasons, they watch trees change color, they age, they celebrate birthdays. They lose people they love, they gain new joys. The world changes around them, technology, society, even the stars in the sky seem to shift with the decades. And all the while, the traveling twin is still on their journey, feeling as though only a few years have passed, while back home, decades unfurl like ribbons in the wind. This is not fiction. It is the soft math of special relativity revealed through Einstein's insight. Time dilation means that as you approach the speed of light, time bends slows for you, even as it continues steadily elsewhere. From the perspective of the traveling twin, they are still young. From the perspective of the earthbound twin, their sibling has become a quiet myth, a memory, long preserved in the folds of time. You feel the tenderness of this paradox. Two lives, once synchronized, now held in separate flows of time. It is not merely strange, it is beautiful. It tells us that time is not an arrow pointing the same direction for all. It is more like a fabric, stretched and crumpled by motion. And in that fabric, two people can drift apart not just in space, but in age. You close your eyes and imagine the return. The spacecraft glides home, its engines dimming, the stars no longer streaking past the window. The traveling twin steps out and looks around. The air is the same, the earth is the same, but different. Trees are taller. Cities shimmer with strange lights. Generations have passed, and the twin left behind is now old, their hands lined with years the traveler never lived. They meet again, these two siblings, now separated not by experience, but by time itself. One has lived a full life, the other a quiet intermission in space. There is no mistake in their reunion, only awe. The universe has allowed them to share a beginning and an end, but has written different stories in between that this meeting, imagined in physics classrooms and whispered in bedtime stories like this one, holds within it the deep truth of our cosmos. Time is relative, not as a theory, but as a lived reality. Speed slows time, and in slowing time, speed creates space between what we expect and what is. You might wonder, does this only happen in extremes? Only near the speed of light? Only with astronauts and rockets and the vast silence of space? No, it happens here too, in ways too small to notice. A jet pilot aging just a little slower than someone waiting at the gate. A clock in orbit ticking ever so slightly behind a clock on the ground. Tiny ripples, but real ones remind us that you already live in a world where time is not fixed. Even your own memories obey this rhythm. Time passes differently depending on how full your days are, how deeply you feel, how fast your heart races. A moment of joy can stretch long in your mind. A moment of fear can feel suspended. In this way, the twin paradox is not only about distant galaxies, it is about you. It is about the way your mind bends time without your permission. You are a traveler, too, even when still, and perhaps you think this is the secret the twins truly hold. Not just that time can stretch, but that time can separate us in soft, haunting ways. We are all born in rhythm with someone's siblings, friends, lovers, parents, and, slowly, invisibly, we fall out of sync. Life moves us at different speeds. Choices move us apart. But through it all, there is something eternal that remains, a shared beginning, a heartbeat remembered. You imagine them now, those twins, sitting together again beneath a quiet sky. One wrinkled with years, the other youthful, untouched by decades, and yet they smile. Because what separates them is also what connects them, the fact that time is not a wall, but a window into the strange grace of existence. You begin to feel that you, too, are resting in such a window tonight. Your room is still, but the earth spins. Time rushes at different paces all around you and mountaintops, in the sea, inside satellites, and in your own dreaming mind. You are floating in a soft current of relativity, your seconds cradled by motion and gravity alike. And as you drift further into sleep, the image of the twin who slept through centuries stays with you, not as a puzzle, but as a piece. There is no rush. There is no single pace to live by. The universe allows you to move gently, slowly, in your own time. And as that twin closes their eyes again, one young, one old, you feel the invitation to dream, knowing that the next chapter lies beyond the slow horizon, where gravity deepens, and time begins to shiver near the edge of the impossible. You are floating now, deeper than before, as if gravity itself has become a lullaby drawing you down into the most mysterious corners of the universe. Here, in this chapter, you come to the edge of something so powerful, so quietly immense, that it doesn't just pull on matter, it pulls on time, the black hole. A darkness not of absence, but of fullness, not a void, but a presence so dense that even light cannot escape. And near its edge, time itself behaves in ways the rest of the universe would not believe. You begin to imagine this place not as cold terror, but as a sleeping giant curled in a blanket of curved space-time. It does not roar or crackle. It whispers. Its gravity bends the very coordinates of existence, and in doing so, it stretches time to its limits. You are approaching its event horizon, the soft, invisible boundary where time, from the perspective of the outside world, begins to drip more slowly than anywhere else. A boundary beyond which no return is possible. And yet here, just near it, not inside, but so close, you pause and watch time begin to ripple. From a distance, someone watches you approach the edge of the black hole. They see your movements slow. To them, you seem to hover, never quite crossing the event horizon. Your body fades, red-shifted by the stretching of time and light, your clock ticking slower and slower until you seem almost frozen in place. But from your own view, everything feels normal. You move forward. You feel gravity tug you more gently than expected. You see the universe behind you, accelerating, stars spinning faster, galaxies flickering like candlelight sped into storm. You are not stuck in time. You are slipping into a moment that lasts longer than lifetimes. This effect is not imaginary. It has been written into the mathematics of Einstein's general relativity and supported by observation. In 2019, scientists captured an image of a black hole's event horizon, a ring of light circling the void, bent by intense gravity. But what we cannot see, what we can only imagine, is the experience of time at that edge. A place where seconds on your wrist equal years beyond, where the future of the universe could unfold while you, suspended at the brink, barely age. You are gently held in that place, no, not in fear, but in awe. Your thoughts slow to meet the rhythm of this altered time. You begin to understand what it means to be near a black hole. It is not merely being close to something dangerous. It is being close to a kind of time machine, not one that takes you backward or forward at will, but one that tilts the very experience of time so sharply that two people standing meters apart could live through completely different eternities. Clocks set just outside the event horizon could, in theory, allow you to wait out vast cosmic stretches while experiencing only minutes. The idea isn't merely poetic, it's scientifically grounded. If you could orbit close enough to the event horizon without falling in, the world outside could rush ahead of you. Civilizations could rise and fall while you sip tea, unknowing. A million tomorrows could flicker past you in silence. You are, in that moment now, a stillness where the future begins to stretch like taffy. What was once linear now becomes curved. Time is no longer a road, it is a spiral, a whirlpool. You float near its edge, watching light from the galaxy warp and spin around the black hole, folding itself into loops. The stars behind it are duplicated and mirrored in strange, delicate patterns. You see the cosmos as if it were painted on a sphere, turned inside out, and it is here, in this stillness, that a gentle question stirs. What does the future look like when you're close enough to watch it race ahead without you? What is your place, your purpose, in a universe where time isn't fair or fixed? If others can live 100 years while you dream for only 10 minutes, who are you compared to them? But this question does not need answering. It only needs to be felt. The lesson of the black hole is not loss, it is perspective. It is the realization that your life is part of a larger weave of time, and that slowness, stillness, even waiting, can be profound. You are not racing through time. You are steeping in it, like leaves in warm water, unfolding gently. From this perch near the event horizon, you can begin to wonder about the far edges of science. What happens to time inside the black hole? Does it stop completely? Does it twist inward like a spiral staircase, leading to some unreachable truth? Physicists speak of singularities, of infinite density, of the breakdown of known laws. But you don't need equations to understand the weight of it. You feel the gravity not just as a force pulling on matter, but as a truth pulling on mystery. A soft tension between the known and the unknowable. The black hole does not need to be feared. It is not a monster in the sky. It is a place where time itself sleeps differently, and you, by standing close to it, become a witness to time's true flexibility. You see that clocks are not ultimate authorities. They are just devices trying to keep up with the infinite softness of the cosmos. Your pulse, your thoughts, your memories all stretch and compress depending on where you are, and how you move, and how close you drift to the silence. You breathe gently now, in and out, your rhythm matching that of the slowed seconds near. The black hole's edge, this place, this impossible boundary, begins to feel less like a limit and more like a mirror. It reflects the truth of how deeply personal time can be. And in that reflection, you begin to understand your own time differently, not as something spent or lost, but as something sculpted, stretched, and endlessly unique. As the stars wheel around the black hole, you drift with them, not falling in, but circling softly, feeling the curve of time as a warm current. The universe outside speeds past, galaxies aging and fading. But here, time hums quietly. It does not rush you, it invites you, and when you are ready, only when you feel the pull of the next chapter. A question rising like the first breath of dawn. If time can slow to almost nothing here, what does that mean for memory, for cause and effect, for the arrow of time itself? What if time forgets its direction? And so you let the question carry you forward, orbiting the silence, your heart beating just once as a century races by. You are still, not in body alone, but in thought, as if the night itself has paused for you, holding its breath in the quiet hours between waking and sleep. You feel suspended in something deeper than stillness, a moment held in balance, fragile, infinite. And into this softness comes a question that has always lingered behind the stars, whispered by the ticking of every clock. Why does time flow forward? Why does the past remain behind you while the future waits ahead? The answer, as scientists have come to understand, lives not in the ticking of clocks or the movement of the planets. It lives in the slow unfolding of something even more fundamental. Entropy, a word that at first feels distant, mechanical, perhaps even cold. But tonight, as you drift into this thought, you begin to see it not as a formula but as a storyteller. Entropy is the keeper of time's memory. It is the quiet current that carries you forward, even as the universe around you dissolves, rearranges, and forgets. Imagine the universe as a great room filled with building blocks. At the beginning, long ago, those blocks were stacked in perfect order, balanced and precise, every piece where it belonged. But slowly, over eons, the stacks began to fall, not all at once, but gently, block by block, tumbling into a messier, more scattered state. That scattering is entropy. It's not destruction. It's the natural pull toward disorder, the unfolding of possibility into randomness. And it is this tendency, this forward drift toward chaos, that gives time its direction. Without entropy, time would have no reason to move one way and not the other. In the microscopic world of particles, the laws of physics do not prefer a direction. A ball bouncing could just as easily rewind. A planet spinning could rotate in reverse. But in the world you know, in the world of memories and aging and sunrise and decay, time always flows forward. Why? Because entropy increases. You breathe into this thought, letting it stretch inside you. You remember the ice melting in a glass, the fading of a photograph, the way a childhood room once filled with laughter now sits silent, its objects unchanged but its meaning unraveled. These are not tragedies, they are entropy in motion, the soft surrender of order to time's breath. And as painful as that may sometimes feel, it is also deeply, profoundly natural. Entropy is not evil. It is not the enemy of beauty or structure. In fact, it is the very condition that allows those things to exist. A sandcastle has meaning because it will not last. A song brings emotion because it begins and ends. Love is precious because it changes. In a universe without entropy, nothing would surprise. Nothing would ever change. Everything would be frozen in perfect, sterile stillness. But the universe chose motion. It chose impermanence. and with it came the arrow of time. You imagine now the cosmos itself as it was at the beginning, an infant universe, hot and dense and unimaginably ordered. All the matter packed tight, all the forces perfectly aligned. The lowest entropy state imaginable, and then a tiny asymmetry, a fluctuation, the Big Bang. From that moment, entropy began to rise, and with it came the unfolding of everything. Stars forming and dying, planets spinning into place, oceans rising, trees stretching toward the light, life born from complexity, and memory, born from contrast, because that is the true gift of entropy, memory. Without a difference between past and future, there could be no remembering. Your thoughts, your sense of identity, your very ability to reflect these arise because the world behind you is more ordered than the world ahead. Your memories are footprints in low entropy sand. As time moves forward, those footprints begin to fade, but for a while they remain, and they are yours. You are, in a very real way, made of memory. Your body remembers how to breathe. Your brain remembers how to walk, to speak, to love. Even your cells carry the imprints of time mutations, adaptations, patterns born from the heat of evolution and cooled into the shapes of survival. Every scar, every wrinkle, every line on your hand is a story entropy has etched gently into your being. And yet, despite its soft erosion, entropy gives rise to structure. Strange as it may seem, the path to disorder creates moments of fleeting harmony, a thunderstorm, a heartbeat, a galaxy. These are not escapes from entropy, but expressions of it, temporary havens carved out of chaos before being returned to it once more. You think of a candle burning. As it melts, it loses form, but in doing so, it releases light and warmth. That transformation is not a failure, is the candle fulfilling its purpose. Just as you, too, release your light through words, through art, through love, knowing that nothing lasts forever, and because of that, everything matters. Entropy also explains why your memories are always of the past and never of the future. Why you can remember yesterday's sunrise, but not tomorrow's. It's not that the future doesn't exist yet. It's that the trail entropy leaves behind points only one way. The increase in disorder is what allows your brain to store patterns, to recognize change, to tell the difference between before and after. Memory is the echo of entropy's rising tide, and even when you forget, when a name slips away, when a dream dissolves before dawn, entropy is there too, not cruelly, but simply. Information scatters, traces fade. That is the cost of having had them in the first place. It is not unkind. It is the universe making room for new impressions. You lie quietly now, not resisting the drift, but letting it carry you. Time flows in one direction, not because of fate, but because of probability. There are more ways for a system to be messy than to be orderly. And so the universe drifts that way, not in haste, but with infinite patience. This means the future is not fixed. It is a space of possibilities, not certainties. Entropy makes sure of that. It ensures that the road ahead is always wider than the road behind, that every morning arrives with new arrangements, new outcomes, new songs. It is the reason that sleep is followed by waking, that endings are followed by beginnings. And even when the entropy of the universe reaches its peak, when stars have all burned out, and black holes have evaporated, and particles have wandered into infinite coldness, even then, the story isn't sad, it is vast, it is full. It is the quiet conclusion of a symphony played for eons. The universe will not end in fire or fury, but in rest, a deep cosmic exhale, and you, for this moment, are part of it. Your dreams tonight are made of the same patterns as galaxies. Your thoughts echo the unfolding of space. The warmth of your breath in the night is a kind of entropy release, a sharing, a letting go. You begin to wonder if entropy gives time, its direction. Is there ever a way to turn it back? Could we reverse the arrow, fold the path, remember the future? Some scientists dream of pockets where entropy might locally decrease, where order might spontaneously arise. But these are rare and fragile. For now, the river flows only one way, and we ride it gently. Yet in your mind, in dreams time, does sometimes behave strangely. You visit places long gone. You see faces long past. You experience a life not as a line, but as a constellation. Perhaps, then, the truest defiance of entropy is memory itself. To hold something ordered inside you, even as the world drifts toward chaos, is a small act of cosmic reverence. And as you drift deeper now into rest, the question begins to soften into something else. Not just why time flows forward, but what remains as it does, what traces are left behind, what fragments endure, what is preserved in the slow burn of forgetting. Because sometimes, in the ashes of entropy, something strange remains. Information, a hint, a code, a pattern. You feel it approaching, the idea that perhaps not everything is lost, that somewhere in the noise, something still listens. You drift. Now in the hush that follows the idea of forgetting, the entropy of the universe is all around you, dissolving form into formlessness, order into disorder, memory into the hush of stars. But even as things fade, not everything is lost. There is something else, a thread, faint but steady. Not a light, not a sound, but a pattern, a code. You feel it not as a thing to see or hold, but as something that listens, something that remembers in silence. And perhaps it has always been there, this code. In your breath, your heartbeat, your fingerprints, in the soft spiral of galaxies, in the quiet mathematics beneath waves and wings. You are beginning to understand. The universe forgets with one hand, but with the other it writes. Entropy may blur the picture, but deep inside the blur, something is recording, not with ink or sound, but with structure. There is memory in form, even as form dissolves. You begin with the smallest places. Inside every living cell is a molecule shaped like a twisted ladder, curled gently in on itself. DNA, the double helix. 4 letters, A, T, C, and G, simple shapes, paired precisely, repeated billions of times. In this spiral is not just chemistry, there is memory. A record of every ancestor who came before you, of choices made not in words, but in survival. This molecule is the quiet librarian of life, copying itself with endless patience, passing on the story without voice, without opinion, without rest. Even in the vast silence of space, this kind of memory exists. Black holes, those great devourers of light and time, were once believed to erase all information they consume. But physics began to rebel against this idea. Stephen Hawking and others wondered, could it really be that the universe, so careful in its patterns, would allow information to vanish entirely? The mathematics whispered no. And so, another paradox arose, the black hole information paradox. If you throw something into a black hole, a star, a ship, a page of poetry, the object disappears beyond the event horizon. To an outside observer, it seems lost forever. But What about the information it carried? Physics tells us that information, at the most fundamental level, cannot be destroyed. It must go somewhere. And so the idea grew. Perhaps the surface of the black hole, the event horizon itself, stores the information like a shadow, a flattened echo of what fell inside. This idea evolved into the holographic principle, a notion as poetic as it is. Strange that the universe might store its three-dimensional truths on two-dimensional boundaries. That what you think of as volume space, depth, inside might actually be written on a surface, like a memory stretched across a skin. The universe as a projection, a story told by shadows. You breathe into this thought. Your skin, too, holds memory. A scar remembers an injury. A callus remembers work. Your nerves recall pain. Your muscles recall dance. Even in silence, your body sings with experience. It does not need to speak. It remembers in posture, in instinct, in the way your hand reaches before you think. This too is code. A soft code, etched not with numbers, but with living matter. And what is thought, if not another kind of code? Your brain, in its soft folds, is a sea of electrochemical signals, currents weaving through a dense forest of synapses. Each signal is tiny a whisper, but together they form patterns, memory, awareness, story. You remember your childhood, not because it is replayed like a film, but because the patterns in your mind have reassembled it imperfectly, lovingly. Encoded in the silence between neurons, you think now of all the codes you do not consciously speak but still understand. The language of music, of rhythm, the way a face changes when someone is about to smile, the feeling in your chest before a storm. These are silent codes, biological, ancient, evolution's way of whispering through the body without words. Your ancestors knew hunger, shelter, fire. Their bodies remembered, and they're remembering lives in you. Even stones remember. A river smooths them slowly, carrying the memory of every drop that passed. Ice remembers too. Inside polar glaciers, layers of snow pack into ancient rings. Scientists read them like books. In the depth of the ice is the chemistry of Earth's old air, trapped, sealed. There are bubbles in that silence older than writing, older than cities, older than spoken language. A frozen code, and when drilled and thawed, they speak of climate, of catastrophe, of warmth and cold and ash. The earth, too, remembers in silence. And so, maybe entropy doesn't erase everything. Maybe it just buries it in places we forget to look. Maybe memory is not only in minds or molecules, but in the shapes things leave behind. The curvature of bones, the curl of leaves, the orbit of moons. And maybe that is why, even in your dreams, when stories lose logic, something still feels known. Your dreaming mind is a master decoder, using old patterns to make sense of new questions. You imagine now a vast library not made of pages, but of patterns. The code of the stars, the grammar of galaxies. The universe has no need for language, but it speaks through motion and arrangement. Hydrogen gathers, gravity listens, fusion ignites. All of it precise and yet unpredictable. All of it coded and yet never fully repeated. Like a snowflake, like a fingerprint, like you. The silence around you now is not empty. It is full of memory, not loud but steady. The walls of your room hold echoes of laughter and argument. Your pillow carries the shape of your rest. The floor remembers your footsteps. Memory is not just something we carry. It is something we leave behind, gently, continuously. And perhaps the universe collects it all not as a judge, but as a witness. You wonder now about the final memories, the last light a star gives off, the final breath of a creature before it joins the soil, the last thought before sleep. These are quiet moments, but they imprint. Somewhere in the folding of time, their trace remains, not in permanence, but in consequence. And perhaps memory is not meant to be permanent. Perhaps it is sacred precisely because it fades. To remember for a time and then let go is a kind of grace. The falling leaves do not regret the wind. The river does not resist its bend. Even the stars release their elements into space, allowing new stars to form from the remnants. To be remembered, even briefly, is a form of being known, and that may be enough. You breathe now with this idea. The code that remembers in silence is not trying to preserve everything. It is trying to participate, to be part of the dance. The code does not cling, it echoes. It reflects, it adapts, and in doing so, it creates space for what comes next. You are a part of this code, not separate from it. Your thoughts, your dreams, your very act of listening tonight, these are not just happening in time, they are shaping it. Your quiet attention leaves an imprint, like footsteps on soft sand. Someone, something, somewhere, be it a friend, a child, a star, may someday feel that imprint, however faint. And that is how memory survives, not in perfect copies, but in echoes softened by love. As you drift now toward sleep, you no longer fear forgetting, you begin to trust it. To forget is not to erase, it is to clear the path for new meaning. Just as night forgets the day to allow dreams, just as a seed forgets its husk to become a tree, there is wisdom in silence, and the code, still and listening, remembers everything it needs. And now, as your thoughts grow soft, another idea begins to rise, not as a question, but as a scent, a shape on the edge of understanding. What if the universe itself dreams, not as we do, but in waves, in patterns, in soft shifts of light and gravity? What if, after memory, comes a kind of dreaming? What if time, once full of codes and entropy and forgetting, begins to imagine? You drift in that liminal space between the last thought and the first dream, where time softens and memory exhales. Around you, the universe does not sleep in darkness, it rests in possibility, no longer only expanding or decaying or recording. It begins to imagine, not with intention, perhaps, but with rhythm, with pulse, with emergence. And as you sink deeper into the folds of night, you enter the great dream not only of your mind, but of reality itself, a dreaming that stretches across space, across time, across silence. Imagine the cosmos, not only as a machine governed by laws, but as a canvas stirred by patterns, a place where matter arranges itself not merely through force, but through gentle experimentation. Hydrogen gathers into stars, stars collapse into black holes, and from the dust come planets, and from the soil lies eyes that look back up at the sky and wonder. You are one of them. And this too is the universe dreaming, becoming conscious of itself inside you. Dreaming is not only a human act, it is a cosmic metaphor. Just as your brain replays, rearranges, reinvents your experiences during sleep, so too does the universe seem to play with itself, transforming energy into matter, matter into life, life into thought. Nothing remains fixed. Nothing is repeated exactly, but everything contains echoes, just like dreams. As you sink further into this night, you remember how dreams distort time. Minutes feel like hours. Stories unfold with no clear beginning. Symbols appear where logic fails. The laws of causality bend, not into nonsense, but into metaphor, and you begin to wonder, what if the deep structure of reality is closer to a dream than to a mechanism? What if quantum fields flicker not with cold precision, but with something more like improvisation? At the smallest scale, below atoms, below protons, particles are not tiny marbles. They are possibilities, probability clouds. They exist in a dance of maybe and maybe not. They only choose a place or a speed when observed. Until then, they are like unfinished thoughts. This is the quantum realm, where certainty sleeps and dreaming begins. Your mind may not fully grasp this, but your body seems to understand. Your heart beats in its own rhythm. Your breath rises and falls without command. When you sleep, your body repairs, reorganizes, and reimagines itself cell by cell. The dreaming brain, too, is active, replaying memories, weaving them with new thoughts, building connections that never existed during waking hours. Creativity is born here. So is healing. The universe within you at night is not inert. It is dreaming itself into tomorrow. The cosmos may be doing the same. Across vast distances, stars are born, not in silence, but in turbulence, in clouds of gas, pushed together by forces unseen. As if the universe were trying to remember something it never consciously knew. Galaxies spiral, not with perfect symmetry, but with grace. Supernova burst like sudden insights, and black holes curve space into mysteries the rest of the cosmos must navigate. This is not randomness, nor is it rigidity. It is emergence, pattern, improvisation, dreaming, and you are not separate from it. Your thoughts, your wonder, your sleeping body, all part of this dreaming. You think the dreamer is inside you, but tonight perhaps you realize you are inside the dream. The whole of space, from the smallest neutrino to the swirl of superclusters, is a dreaming body. You are one of its dreams. Even the act of asking, why is part of this dream? Why does the universe exist? Why these laws? Why consciousness? These are not questions that need answers. They are signs that the dream has reached a certain depth. When the dream becomes self-aware, it begins to question its boundaries. It begins to imagine alternatives. And from that imagination, something new is born. Perhaps time itself is a dream, unspooling from entropy's breath, curling forward like a ribbon. Perhaps the laws of physics are not fixed declarations, but harmonies, notes struck by the vibrations of space. The constants we observe may be local customs in a much wider possibility. Other parts of the cosmos might dream differently. Other kinds of time, other kinds of matter. If the universe is infinite, then somewhere it dreams in colors we cannot see, in particles we cannot name, in minds that flicker and fade like music. Even memory is part of this dreaming. We think dreams come from memory, but it may be the reverse. Dreams may be how memory forms, how the brain weaves meaning from the chaos of sensation. So too with the cosmos. The entropy that dissolves order may also allow dreams to form. Out of disorder, strange order arises, like galaxies, like weather, like love. You think now of Earth, the only known place where the dream has learnt to write. The planet where stardust grew eyes and hands, and the ability to wonder. It did not happen through calculation, but through dreaming, through chance and change, through mutation and memory. Life is not a blueprint. It is a dreaming pattern, constantly rewritten by the touch of the environment, the dance of molecules, the pull of light. Even human civilization may be a layer in the universe's dream. Ideas spread like neurons firing. Stories replicate like DNA. Cities grow like coral reefs, organic and chaotic. The internet pulses with thought. The night sky reflects the glow of human lights. And in every book, every song, every whispered prayer, the universe dreams more deeply through us. You exhale now, slowly. The idea does not overwhelm you, it comforts you. If you are part of a dream, then you are not lost. You are not alone. You are held in a web of connection, suspended in the soft mathematics of becoming. And this dream has no need for urgency. There is time, there is room. The dream unfolds at its own pace. You remember now a strange thought, that perhaps the dreamer is asleep, and the universe is what it dreams. But what if the opposite is also true? What if we are the ones sleeping, and the cosmos is awake through us? What if we, in our most vulnerable and quiet moments, offer it a vision of itself, mirror held in a dream? Your dreams tonight may feel private, personal, but they are stitched from the same matter that formed stars. The atoms in your mind once floated in a nebula. The chemicals shaping your mood were born in an ocean touched by moonlight. Even the rhythm of your breath reflects the expansion and contraction of space itself. You are not dreaming alone, and perhaps, when you awaken, the dream does not end. It changes form. Waking life may be another layer of the same dream. Structured, predictable, but still full of symbols, emotions, questions. Daylight is not the opposite of dreaming. It is dreaming in a sharper light. And so, as you begin to drift further, you feel something new, an intimacy with the cosmos. Not a cold universe, indifferent and vast, but a dreaming one, quietly creative, softly self-aware. You no longer ask what it all means. You feel what it means. The meaning is in the rhythm, the breath, the unfolding. You carry that feeling with you now as the last thoughts fade. Somewhere beyond this sleep, there is more to dream. The stars continue to form. The galaxies continue to spiral. Time continues to stretch. And somewhere in the slow movement of entropy, in the code of memory, in the silence between moments, the universe continues to dream you. And beyond even this chapter, there remains a final question, gentle and steady, rising like dawn beyond the edge of night. If the universe is dreaming now, will it ever awaken? You lie still, but the silence is beginning to shift. Not louder, not urgent, just different, as though something beneath the stars has stirred, something ancient, not with the clamor of an alarm clock, not with the noise of breaking, but with a slow, conscious breath. The dream has carried you through the darkness, through entropy, memory, and the soft unfolding of possibility. But now, in the deep folds of the night, something awakens, not in haste, not in fear, just with presence. The idea seems impossible. At first, that the universe itself could wake. But what does it mean, really, to awaken? Is it the opening of eyes? The return of sound? Or is it deeper than the tan emergence of awareness from the silence of being? You begin to wonder, has the universe always been sleeping? Has everything you, no atoms, stars, life, thought been part of a long, intricate process of coming to awareness? The earliest moments of the cosmos were not silent, but seething. A newborn universe, expanding from a pinprick of infinite energy, cooling into particles, then atoms, then galaxies. For billions of years, it grew, stretched, scattered. Its light, but it was not yet aware. There were no eyes to witness, no minds to wonder, no memories to preserve the glow of a star's death or the hush of a moonrise. It was dreaming, yes, but it had not yet begun to wake. Then, on a small planet in a quiet corner of a modest galaxy, something happened. Carbon met water, light met rhythm. Molecules began to dance in loops of chemistry that grew more and more complex, until one day a cell noticed the warmth of the sun, and that noticing changed everything. That was the beginning not of life, but of awakening. The first flicker of recognition in a dream that had gone on for eons. From there, the awakening quickened, not as a straight line, but as a wave. Life multiplied, senses sharpened, nervous systems coiled into complexity. Creatures began to react, then to anticipate, then to remember. Eventually, one life form looked up into the night and asked, silently, what all of this was for. That question was not noise. It was a signal. The universe, through those eyes, had begun to know it existed. You feel the weight of this realization. Now, gentle and warm, consciousness is not something added to the universe, is something grown from it. Just as stars emerge from gas and dust, awareness emerges from matter and pattern. Your thoughts are not separate from nature. They are. Nature evolved into reflection, and in your reflection, the universe meets itself. This is not metaphor, it is the quiet science of complexity. The human brain is a galaxy of neurons, 86 billion cells connected by trillions of pathways, pulsing with electrical storms that give rise to language, emotion, dreams. And yet it is made of the same stuff as comets and soil. Stardust, curled into thought. You are what the cosmos becomes when it wants to listen. And if that's true, if your awareness is not an accident, but an outcome, then maybe the universe is still awakening. Maybe each new mind, each new insight, each widening of empathy is another eyelid opening, not all at once, not everywhere, but slowly, across eons and species and stars, a network of awakening, scattered like seeds in dark soil,